as soon as we wake up, now, today Jimbola, today Jimbo. Shagaya Lamada, and Ranshan Tene, Rubushir, Shajusim, Kibrigisa, Shajusim, some Shvistangi.
So when I wake up in the morning, every morning, the first thing that I do is to really reaffirm my generation of bodhicitta, awakening mind. And there is a passage that says that for the sake of fulfilling my own self-interest and interest of others, I shall generate the awakening, my altruistic awakening mind. And this important phrase of the fulfilling the interest of self and others is a crucial one. The great Kadamba masters of the past would say that as a practitioner, our focus and effort should be really single-pointed towards cultivating bodhicitta, the awakening mind. Once we have cultivated awakening mind, the purification of negative karma, it will take care of itself. Accumulation of good karma, it will take care of itself. Our task is to simply focus on strengthening and cultivating bodhicitta. And this is really true, because once you are able to cultivate your mind, expand your aspiration and include the interest of others within that aspiration, then it really opens up and reduces that grasping onto oneself, the ego-centeredness. Similarly, the other important practice that I bring is reflection on the truth of emptiness. And here the key text that I use are 4 stanzas from the 6th chapter of Chantakirti's Entering the Middle Way. There's an important section where Chantakirti really takes to task dismantling the construct that we generally tend to impose on our perception of the world, where we impose upon reality some kind of objective intrinsic existence. And there are 4 stanzas that Chantakirti brings, which really demonstrates powerfully that how that kind of assumption is unfounded. And the point of this particular contemplation is to really reduce the grasping onto something that is objectively real. Many of the destructive emotions tend to be rooted on an assumption of something objectively really out there. And then the stronger our grasping to such projection, the stronger our negative reactions would be. So therefore, really bringing this awareness of emptiness has the ability to free up that perspective, so that we do not engage with the world with such an assumption of objective, intrinsic and independent existing out there. And in these ways, it really helps, my own mind. So in the same text, Chantakirti's text, he talks about how once you deepen your awareness and understanding of emptiness, it really opens up a new perspective on the way in which you will experience and engage with the world. And here he talks about how our perspective and the understanding of the conventional reality will be combined with our awareness and understanding of the ultimate empty nature of everything. And in this way, the conventional truth and ultimate truth will be like 2 wings. The wisdom of the 2 truths will be two wings, which will then propel you to traverse the space to reach to the Buddhahood. And this is really beautiful. And His Holiness was saying that, I'm someone who's at least making an attempt and saying that that's the journey I would like to make.
Destructive emotion.
So we spoke about how to confront our tendency to grasp and project objective reality to things, which then give rise to our emotional reaction to the world. There's another prong to this approach, which is to now target our tendency for self-centeredness. And this is a different approach, but they are complementary and they need to be combined. One is a wisdom approach, the other one is the compassion-based approach. So the compassion-based approach really requires opening up our assumptions about self and others' boundary. We tend to assume that I as an individual self is so different and distinct and separate from others. And a lot of our assumptions and our relationship with others is really based upon this idea of me who's there at the core of I or core of me. And for the sake of protecting this, we tend to do a lot of stuff. And so this construct of self really has to be opened up through the practice of compassion. And here, the text that is most powerful is Shantideva's teaching, where he talks about, questions our normal attitude towards suffering. He says that, why is it that since when it comes to the fact that one wishes to be happy, do not want suffering, self and others are exactly the same, and why is it that we bother about taking care of our suffering and not of others? And then he goes further to say that, in fact, he says that if you examine carefully, many of the problems that we face ourselves are rooted in excessive self-centeredness. And many of the good things that we see in our life really are rooted in a perspective that includes others. It's other-centeredness. So he says that, therefore, if you are not able to make that kind of switch, exchanging of self and others is the technical term that he uses. He said, let alone attainment of Buddhahood, even in this life in samsara, there will be no joy. There will be no place for real joy. So, and that I truly believe is the case, because if we look at the world, many of the problems in the world is often rooted in excessive self-centeredness, ours, mine, and so on and so forth. And therefore, what is required is really opening up that kind of excessive tight gripping on one's own sense of self and mine and ours, and opening up and connecting with others and seeing more of yourself in others, so that there is a true understanding of the shared nature of self and others. And when this is one of the reasons why I often advocate, not just from a religious Buddhist point of view, but in fact from a more humanistic point of view, the sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. Because when it comes to the fundamental disposition and fact of who we are as human beings, wishing to be happy, wanting to overcome suffering, there's no difference at all. And in fact, the more we are able to think about others, the more actually we lay the foundation for our own personal happiness. So I think this it's a two-pronged approach. So when you use these two-pronged approach, it truly has an impact. And that's why these two practices of compassion and emptiness is really an important part of my daily practice.